بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين وخير الناصرين الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. So inshallah we'll continue our journey towards taqwa, habits of muttaqi people. The third one is fasting first, or put fasting first. But again, beautiful title, put fasting first. All of us, we try to do that. So obvious that you ask from anyone said, yeah, that's the best one. Put fasting first, right? But then reality is, majority of the time, we don't know what the first is. And even the thing we are thinking it's first, it may not be first. All the problem is arising from here. What is first? Like when I'm dealing with husband and wife's families issues, the problem is that one person is saying that's the priority, that's the first thing. The other person says, no, that's not first. So first thing first, we require to have expertise on the first habit and the second habit. Without that, we cannot do first thing first. It's totally dependent. That's why I have to review, be proactive, and begin with the end in mind. When you have this, you are a creator. As a be proactive, I'm going to explain this more because I said this is foundation. So again, if muttaqi is using his taqwa, and I mentioned taqwa from the Arabic word waqaya, which means keeping an eye, attentive, all the time, no ghafla, no heedlessness. You know who you are, what your paradigms are. So again, if a person is muttaqi and if he'll exercise and be experts on be proactive, he will become a creator. He's not going to accept those scripts from his childhood, from his environment. He will create his own scripts. He will create his own programs of the life. So that's why he's a creator. And then you begin with the end in mind. The second one is, now you keep an eye on of your aqibat, of the end, and then you will go create. You're a creator, and now you create. Begin with the end in mind. Guess what? This is what Ya ayyuhallazina aman. Mu'min is the one, he is aware who he is. I will explain this, inshallah, the next slide. And then after that, if we exercise this, then we will go for the next one. Like if I'm creator, I have to create something. After creating, I have to execute that program. And execution will call put first thing first. And that exactly was Amalu Salihat. Amalu Salihat means you're in action phase. Now you have to implement, you have to execute that plan. Now, let me go to the next slide. We mentioned last time that all of the human, they have the 4 unique gifts from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are more, but like right now we're talking about the 4 gifts. And again, I'll remind you this slide that Stephen Covey says that if between your stimulus and response, and I give example of a stimulus, right? You're getting angry, you're frustrated, you feel fear. All those things, if you have this stimulus, and then at that time, normally what we do, if you're working as per our script, you respond. You get angry, and at the time of the anger, we respond this certain way. If we create a pause over there, and how do we create a pause? Using these 4 endowments. These 4 endowments are like self-awareness, imagination, conscience, independent will. Okay, so let's go ahead and look for that first one. We are reviewing again the first one. Who's muttaqi? Muttaqi is the one, as I said, from waqaya, He's attentive all the time. He keeps an eye on his stimuli and thinks before he responds. Which means muttaqi is the one who's in charge of his feeling. If you're muttaqi, you're in charge of your feeling. Emotions, anger, imagination, and instincts. And if you're not, let's say, if we are interacting the way, like a child in our class makes us angry and we're responding based on our script, we are not muttaqi. We are not proactive. If I'm driving, something happened, and I'll react as per my subconscious mind, I'm not muttaqi. Now, let's see. So, again, those four endowments, if you pay attention, then the self-awareness one will help us to be proactive. Like I wrote here, you use your self-awareness to realize that you have been given an ineffective script. Now you feel that you need to create your script based on principles. And then again, habit two, based on other two endowment, which is imagination and your conscious mind, your vijdan. Okay, so the first one, let's go discuss the first one more. Okay. Self-awareness. In Islamic terminology, this thing called Udshanasi. Udshanasi. That's why we have so many ahadith like this one. You heard this famous one. Man arafa nafsa. Man arafa nafsa. Whoever knows himself, he can reach to ultimate goal, which is arafa rabba. Again, I put this for self-awareness over here. Now, look at this. This hadith from Amirul Mu'mineen. Imam said, Rahimallahu in arifa qadra nafsi. May Allah have a mercy on someone who knows his value, who he is. Our problem with us that we do not know who we are. Sometimes we think that we are just like this body, right? We do not realize we have different faculties. We have not only our physical needs, we have mental needs, we have spiritual needs. Like this last Friday, we were discussing about this Kaaba. There I mentioned that Shahid Utai mentioned that it's not just we have one mouth. It's not just one mouth. This mouth needs something for our physical need. Our soul also has a mouth. That soul is also looking worship, to worship someone. So we have several needs. If we are not self-aware, if we do not have udshanasi, we do not recognize ourselves, all the time we will have wrong choices. We may select something else as a first. On the same line, again, this poetry from Amirul Mu'mineen is amazing. It's amazing. It's giving all those basic fundamental of 7 habits. If you remember that, before Stephen Covey started habit number 1, he has this inside out. Inside out. Which means you can resolve things from inside, not from outside. Which means if I have to manage a class, make sure that, and I'm not able to manage it, I need to see what's wrong with me, where I need to improve. Look at this Arabic part. It's a beautiful poetry from Amirul Mu'mineen. Amirul Mu'mineen says, Dawa'uka fika. Where is your remedy? It's inside you. Wama tabsir. And you don't know. And again, our problems are also from us. That's why he said, Wada'uka minka. Your problems are from yourself. We are the one we are creating problems. Wama tash'ur. And you have no sha'ur. وَتَزْعَمُ أَنَّكَ جُرْمٌ صَغِيرٌ. Do you think that you're small like germ? Mas وَفِيكَ انْتَبَعَ الْعَالَمُ الْأَكْبَرُ. Within you, there is the whole universe. We don't realize that. We think maybe Maulana maybe he's delivering his speech. No, the reality is, if I just go in subconscious mind, what the subconscious mind is, what the conscious mind is, how we behave, how our environment affect us, how as a human we get familiar, because the human is, insan is from uns, the environment, we adopt things from our environment. You see that in Stephen Covey, in this Leader in Me, they say create the culture, create the culture. You create all this environment because this environment will affect you. Again, all of these things from self-awareness. Without self-awareness, we cannot be proactive. So we need to start work. I'm specifically spending time on this. As I said, the put first thing first is not going to work if you're not proactive. If you have not discovered yourself. Like this last poetry, you were saying your disease is from you and your remedy is from you. All the time you blame outside world. Remember that proactive and reactive? When they have this chart, he said the reactive person is always blaming for all his problems someone else. Proactive person is looking and finding out where the problem is coming and is trying to resolve that problem. That's why proactive person can focus on circle of influence, not circle of concern. Reactive people, they all the time they are blaming someone else. It was my gene, it was my father, it was my childhood. No. Proactive, that's what your trial is. That's what the Islam is like. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Allazi khalaqal mawta wal hayata liyabluwakum ayyukum ahsanu amala. Allah knows where He created us. He said, I created this life and the death so I can test all of you, which one you perform in these circumstances best. Allah put you there. Allah decided that these will be your mother and father. That's muqaddar. Okay? So again, we need to make sure that we need to sharpen that proactive one first. Okay? Now, the second habit, now when you know who you are, you know who you are. You recognize, not just like you as like an ID card, that my name is this, my father's name is this. No, who you are. What's your feelings? Why you become angry? What make you happy? When you discover yourself, it takes time. I'll say, even if it takes 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, it's worth it. Do it. Do it. Start discovering yourself. Then you will find out your destination. If you do not discover yourself, you may have the wrong end. You have a wrong end. Again, and begin with the end in Islam, all those verses about Qiyamah and hereafter, about death, reminder about that, that's your end. You have an eternal life. It's not the death. It's an eternal life. Like I even mentioned in my speeches, kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. It's not kullul maut dha'iqatul naf. It's not like this. It's not opposite. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut, which means the nafs is consuming maut. Not the maut is consuming nafs. What do we think our paradigm is? Oh my God, poor guy, maut. The death consumed that person is gone. He's nothing. No one, nada. No. The paradigm, shift the paradigm. That human, let's say if the death is coming towards me, I'll consume the death and that's it, no more death. Yes, my body, I will come out from this body, but I'm eternal. I'm not going to die anymore. That's my end. So again, begin with the end in mind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a beautiful verse. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, amanu taqullah haqqa tuqatih. That's again taqwa. Taqwa. Oh, you believe, have taqwa of Allah subhanahu. I'm not going to use the fear. Have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with the right that really what tuqatih, haqqa tuqatih. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. Allah is talking about looking for your end. Do not die, but you need to be Muslim. You need to submit yourself towards Allah. Allah is warning us, be careful about your end. All right, so that's about review about the for muttaqi, that muttaqi is using his self-awareness and again other endowments, two other endowments, imagination and conscious wijdan and his takhayyul and his power of imagination to think about his big scheme and his mind. Now we're going more into the today's lecture, which is put first thing first. Then we're going to use the fourth endowment, which is independent will. All of us, we have a free will. All of us, we have a free will. We need to exercise that free will to execute now the plan. Now we made the plan. Now we recognize who am I, what's my priorities, what's my preference, what's my real end. Then based on that, Amalus Salih will start. Now you act. Now you basically control, make your program. That's why Stephen Covey called this thing as a principle of the personal management. He didn't mention this time management, personal management. Please pay attention to this one. All right, so let's just start with time, because in order to manage ourselves, we have to make sure that time is important. Like Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, please decide Imam said, Kun ala umrik ashah minka ala dirhamik wa dinarik. What do you value these days? What do you want to save these days? Money, assets. That's why sometimes we are bakhil, we are stingy. Imam said, Kul ala umrik, for your life be stingy. Where are you spending your life? It should be more. You need to be more careful about your life than dollars and stock market and money and assets. And interestingly, Imam did not say your time. Imam said your life. And again, when Stephen Covey, with all these 20, 30 years experience, he reached there, he said, one thing, we are making a mistake. Up to now, we were managing time. We were not managing life. He realized that later on. That's why he changed that management matrix. And he came with the fourth generation matrix. Okay, so inshallah, we'll continue that. Please have Allah. All right, so again, when we go to the Stephen Covey, he said that now you understand that you have a plan and now you have to execute the plan. Execution requires this special matrix. And again, I'll go through talk about this matrix. He's talking about this matrix, which is on one side, it's urgent and important. Two things. This matrix is based on urgent and important. And he made this 4 quadrant. The quadrant number 1 is urgent and important. Now, that's how we need to execute our plan. Quadrant 2 is not urgent, but important. Quadrant 3 is urgent, but not important. Quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. Okay. Now, what is urgent? Anyone? Urgent. What do you understand by urgent? Today, time. It's a time sensitive, right? Urgent, something to do with time. You know, the problem when we execute, okay, so the first one was self-awareness. The second was leadership, where you're looking for the future and you're making a plan to lead. And the third one is management. Now you manage your life, manage your time, okay? When you manage your time, the problem we have, we are unable to somehow, we get confused. I'm not talking about those people, their life is miserable. They're like sitting in front of the TV or they're doing nothing. I'm not talking about the fourth quadrant. I'm talking about the people, they're serious. They get confused between these two terminologies, between urgent and important. Sometimes they think that urgent is important, okay? So urgent is something, like I brought this notes over here, that urgent things that requires immediate attention, immediate attention. Someone is knocking at my office and is standing right there. It's time sensitive. It's time. So urgent things acts on us. A ringing phone is urgent. Phone is ringing. All right, so you know urgent, right? They're like, they may not important. Maybe urgent is also important. Like, let's say, I didn't pay my phone bill on time. I was not organized. I did not set that auto payment option. And it was due, let's say, next, like, let's say January 25th, right? It was important because, again, important because I need to keep my electricity in house. I don't want to have them cut my electricity. This is important. But I was delaying that important and then it becomes urgent. It's the last day. I have to pay the penalty, right? Now it's urgent and important. So important thing can be an urgent. But there is difference between when there is a time sensitivity, then it becomes urgent. And when this, what is important, by the way? Huh?
Something of value.
Something of value.
Like not monetary value, but
Anyone else?
Something that should be given priority.
Should be given priority, right? Yes.
Like a meeting, for example, an urgent meeting.
Well, important, I'm talking. So let me bring that his words, okay? Importance, on the other hand, has to do with your results. Let's say I decided to have A+ in my exams. Now, studying every day is important for me. Or studying or preparing for exam is important for me. But it's not, exam is not tomorrow, so it's not urgent, right? Whatever goal, let's say I decide that I have to lose weight, right? That's my goal. So what's important for me? That intake of the food and exercise is important, right? Let's say I have to create a relationship, good relationship with my family. So I can have this root of happiness. So that creating and maintaining that relationship is important. Okay? They're not urgent. It's not time sensitive, but it's important. Anything to do with your end result is important. Anything to do with your plan is important. Let's say I like to be in Jannah. Okay? So anything which I will decide to reach to the Jannah, that's important. Okay? That's something to do with my goal, with my intention, with my like goals and other. Okay? So let me go through by Stephen Covey, and then I will show you one hadith. You will say, oh my God, Amirul Mu'minin mentioned this 1,400 years ago, and we were not paying attention. We will have lots of regret when we die. when you see the reality. I saw this hadith. I didn't see this hadith when I was in Albany. I saw that just recently when I was doing research. I says, oh my God, Amir, you said that 1,400 years. Let me go through this chart first and then you will see. So Stephen Covey first, okay? Stephen Covey says that, look, you have this 4 quadrant. All you need to do planning, right? You need to do planning. And that planning need to be at least weekly, okay? So you go and sit down and like put out all your tasks for the next week. And then you prioritize. You sit down. Oh. So. Let me back. All right. So, so now you know that. Is everyone that is familiar with this chart now? Does anyone have any question about this? No? Right? All right. Out of this 4 quadrant, which quadrant is the most important?
Two. Quad one.
Quad 1?
I think two.
One and two.
I think two.
2? Yes.
Two.
2? But let's say I didn't pay the bill and it's urgent now. Is it not important?
Yes. Then one and two.
1 and 2. 1 and 2. Right? 1 and 2. But majority of the time, effective people, they spend time in 2 majority of the time.
I was just thinking, if you work on 2, then you don't need to worry about.
Yes,
what's
100%. 100%. That's exactly what this put first thing first is. Which means the end result will be if the effective person, he put all his energy on the quadrant 2, so he minimize quadrant 1. If he's not going to minimize quadrant 1, he will burn out. And you see that people, they burn out because all the time they have crisis. All the time they have crisis. The last minute thing. That crisis burn them and they have no choice but to go to the quadrant 4. What is quadrant 4? Not urgent,
Not important.
not important. Which means watching YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook, movie, something which is not urgent, which is not important, because you're burnt out. You're burnt out. You're gonna go to the, like again, coffee shop, you just spend 2 hours over there, right? Which is not urgent, which is not important, right? So that's why it's highly important that we need to distinguish between urgent and important. We need to ask ourselves, when I'm making the list, I said, is it urgent or important? It's urgent or important. What's the sign of important? That's in line with your goals. What are the goals you already made? You said, look, I need any goal. Okay, the idea Islamically, your goal need to be, I need to be in Jannah, right? So this is month of Rajab. I would say that reciting this salat or this ghusl or this fasting, is this important or urgent? What is it? Important. It's important, right?
Because it's
Urgent, if I'm missing that, like for example, urgent will be like, for example, I didn't wake up early on the Fajr time and like only 3 minutes left for my salat and will become qada. Now it's become important and urgent, right? So we have to be careful about this, right? Now, again, for the limited time, I'm not going to go spend much time. So again, that's important and urgent. We need to have this habit to make sure that whenever we list all the tasks and everything, make sure we ask this question from ourselves. Is it urgent or important? Urgent or important, right? And then the best way is if you can put this in quadrant initially, otherwise you don't need to, you can just make your schedule. Now, important things are, which is like in line, which will take you towards your goal, right? Now, what is this urgent but not important? That also takes our time, okay? Which means needless interruptions. Like I'm working on my project, and again, I have my phone next to me, and notification and ding. I said, what is it? That's an interruption. That's an interruption. Because all my focus was here, and basically that's. These days, these organizations, corporations, they're saying that young people, they don't have productivity. Because they keep their phone over here. While they're working on their project, looking at the phone about interruption, continuously interruption, right? Then again, unnecessary reports, unimportant meetings, phone calls, mail, email, other people's minor issues. Okay? Now, how to do this? How to manage this stuff? Okay? Let's go to the next page. Again, we already discussed this problem. Now, I don't know if I have time, we can run this. Did you see this video? Did all of you see the
Yes.
Yes.
All of you saw this video?
Yes.
Anyone who didn't see the video? You didn't see the video?
It's like the last one.
During the teacher training.
Can we run the video? It's a 4-minute video. I can skip it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have
Yeah.
seen this.
Just skip it? Okay. All right. Let me explain for those people that didn't see it. Let me just explain. Let me just explain it fast, okay? The sound is not working. Okay. So, see, I'll show you also in the picture also. In your life, you have big rocks, you have pebbles, and you have sand, right? What's the big rock? Your most important task in your life, right? Most important, your family relationship, your work, your study, all these things are big rocks, right? Then you have pebbles, right? A smaller task. And then you have sands, all these like extra things. So again, he started, if like this planning, this one is symbolic for the planning. If they put like, they will do all those sands first and then try to adjust the big rocks, it's very hard to adjust your schedule, right? But what you do, if you change the paradigm, if you put in the bucket, let me just do this. See, she's unable to do it. Okay, can you turn on the voice just for a few minutes? Because this is interesting. The way he put it, it's very interesting. Okay, that's okay.
Yes, on.
There we go.
Okay,
Big opportunity,
let me just put this back.
important and urgent, block of time. Bunch of young children keep looking at me. My friend is not here. No, I don't listen there.
Okay. Now it's easy to manage, right? Same thing with your schedule. Okay, I'm gonna skip this. Oh, let me go back. Yes. All right. So, first of all, Imam Amir al-Mu'minin here is talking about the fourth quadrant. Okay, fourth quadrant. We're going to talk about the fourth quadrant. That fourth quadrant was we have to say no to time wasters, right? Amir al-Mu'minin, look at this. We need to read this Surah Mu'minun. Qad aflah al-Mu'minun. Aflah al-Mu'minun. Aflah means the victorious will be. Mu'minun will be victorious. They have this quality. Allazina hum fi salatihim khashi'un. And then the second one is وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. They don't waste their time. They don't waste their time. Quran. And love is something which is not important, which is not urgent, They try not to spend time, they keep aloof from what is vain. That's a sign of mu'mineen. All right, let's go. I'm going to skip this page. All right. So, let's go for this hadith. It's a beautiful hadith. Okay, let me ask you this. If you're planning for your next week and you're focusing on non-important, what you're going to miss? Imam said, "Man ishtaghala bighayri al-muhim." Muhim means most important, important. And ahem is most important. Whoever is not, I think I do have translation. Yeah, someone said, whoever focuses on something that is not important loses what is more important. Right? Which means you need to have and pay attention on your ahem things. Muhim. All right. Now, Stephen Covey, like I told you earlier, he realized that time management was wrong. So many people, they burn out. They think time is important. Yeah, they become efficient, but they don't become effective. They become efficient, but they don't become effective. In human relationship is important. Some people, they are effective, if efficient businessmen. They're not effective. Some people, they are efficient engineers, students, teachers, but they're not effective human beings. So he said that there were 4 generations of time management. The first one was list and checklist. The second one, they add calendar. So you're looking for 1 week, 1 month, 2 months, that's calendar. The third generation was prioritizing. Up to now, we were talking about prioritizing. You look to the value of something and you say, this one has a higher priority that's in line with your goal, and this one has a higher priority. He says, again, this one is not also complete. So many people, they burn out because this was solving the problem for efficiency, but not effectiveness. Because human relationship is also important. So that's why he said the 4th generation time management, I call it's a personal management. Remember that I mentioned that Imam mentioned over there that you keep an eye on your own, of your age, of your life, not the time. Okay? So again, what's the difference between this time management versus life management? Let's say you as a role, you have one role as a teacher, and you're making a planning as a teacher. That's not your whole life. You have other roles as well. You have a role as mother. You may have a role as wife. You may have a role as sister. You may have a role as momina. You may have a role, you may have different roles. So maybe efficient for one field, and we are ineffective with so many. And that's where the human problems are. We are not. So the latest one and the 4th generation personal management is depend on your role. You go through your role, which means never ignore your role. Our problem, I'm seeing this part. Let me be a little bit blunt. When I'm seeing the problem in the marriage, I realize that majority of the time they ignore their roles. Sometimes ladies, they forget they are female. There is a reason Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's their role. Their mother. That's their role. Yeah, they also have a role as a teacher, as an engineer, as a programmer, and something. But that's their role also. Sometimes the husbands, they forget that their role as a father. They think they are only for financial support. No, there is a role as a father. There is a role as a support for the wife. There is a role for different things. So now he said, you need to go by the roles. I will teach you the trick. If you want, I will show you how you can set that up. Calendar, right? If you have Microsoft, like this calendar things, I will show you how to do it. Okay. You can create your roles, and based on roles, you set the priorities and you set your schedule. Okay. You sit down and says, what's my role? How many roles I am playing in this world, right? I am mother. I am wife. I am teacher. I am member of the community. You do look for all their priorities and set. Otherwise, we may be successful in one role, may not be successful in other. All right. All right. So let's see. Imam Musa Kazim, he mentioned about these. Beautiful hadith. Imam said, Ijtahidu. Here, Imam Reza, although it's also narrated by Imam Musa Kazim. I always decide by Imam Musa Kazim. But again, here it's found out this time. Ijtahidu an yakuna zamanukum arba'a sa'at. You divide your role in these 4 different roles. Sa'atan minhu li munajatillah. Your one role as like abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa sa'atan li amril ma'ash. Ma'ash, the life in this world is ma'ash, ma'isha. Ma'isha, the life in this world, which include everything, your study, your job, your family life. This is like your ma'isha. So second role, you have this. وَسَاعَةً لِمُعَاشِرَةِ الْإِخْوَانِ وَالثِّقَاتِ وَالَّذِينَ يُعَرِّفُونَ عُيُوبَكُمْ وَيَخْلِصُونَ لَكُمْ فِي الْبَاطِنِ. The third one, you spend time with other humans, with the mu'mineen. The people, they are mukhlis. They are sincere with you. They can help you to grow. They can show you your uyub. They can help you to overcome your shortcomings. And the fourth one, وَسَاعَةً تَخْلُونَ فِيهَا لِلَذَّاتِكُمْ. And amazing, Imam is not saying not to have lazzat. You can have that fourth role as you enjoy have something, good food. Go have the spending. So again, now Imam is saying, again, if you're spending time with your family, eating food, and this is valuable. Okay? So there are different roles. Let me go to the last hadith. Again, we can talk for long on this one, but again, did I miss any slide? Oh, I missed one slide. Okay. Let me bring that because I put the slide. So let me bring this from my notes. Okay. This is beautiful hadith. And you will be amazed that Amir al-Mu'mineen mentioned all these things long time. All right. Let me put this hadith real quick. Just give me 1 minute. Please silence loud sound. Yeah, this one. All right. Please pay attention to this one. This part. I think I created this one, but I was not able to. Okay. Now look for this hadith, and you will find out amazing. That's exactly what Stephen Covey is saying. قال إمام علي عليه السلام اعلم إن الشاغل بالصغير يخل بالمهم. اعلم, you need to know, أن الشاغل بالصغير, if you occupied with a smaller task, unnecessary task, which is not important. يخل بالمهم. Muhim is the one which is important, right? Now he's explaining how you need to arrange that 4 quadrant. Number 1, he says, وَإِفْرَادُ الْمُهِمُّ. First of all, you single out all your most important tasks, right? Then بِالشُّغْلِ يَأْتِي عَلَى الصَّغِيرِ. Then you attach your smaller work with the important one. Let me give you one example so you can understand this one. I will give you examples from my life, so it's easier. Let's say I have to prepare a lecture. That's important for me because again, it's important for me. I have to present, but at the same time, I have other goals as well for taking care of my health, right? I have to walk, right? So I can do one thing. I can put this computer in front of my treadmill and I'm walking. So I'm attaching my smaller tasks with my other tasks. Or let's say if I have to talk with someone and a family issue and I don't have a time because I have to study it anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, right? So now what I have to do, instead of talking with someone over the phone while I'm at home, I said, all right, I'm going to have my headphone while I'm driving, I'll talk to you. Okay, I'm a good driver, so I'm going to take it for a long time. So that's exactly what Imam is saying. Like we used to do this part, right? When we were in Oza, when we used to have Zohar and Asar Salat, between Zohar and Asar Salat, people used to have some speeches, right? We used to have, sometimes those speeches, if you're not interested to listen, those announcement of speeches, we used to have few books. We need to finish those books during this time. Sometimes, remember that Rahbar Muazzam, he said that one time he used to go by the bus at those days. He used to have some of those books. He finished those books in the bus. So Imam was saying, pay attention here. Yati ala sagire wa yalhiquhu bil kabir. Bring the smaller work and attach them with kabir. Okay? Now pay attention here. Now when you're making a schedule, Imam said, Fabda. Fabda means start. Bil muhim. Start with the most important. Wala tansan nazara fi saghir. And do not ignore the other one also as well. Otherwise they will become urgent. Right? So do not forget them. And see that Stephen Covey, he mentioned this part. So we had 4 quadrants, right? 4 quadrants. This is the first quadrant, we have to take care of it. The second quadrant, we have to put most of our time. What about the third quadrant? Imam is explaining over here. Imam said, وَجْعَلْ أَمُورَ الصِّغَارِ مَنْ يَجْمَعُهَا. You delegate those tasks which is not important for you, may be urgent, to someone else. Stephen Covey said the same thing. Stephen Covey said, I will go back to this slide, you will see that Stephen says that this first quadrant, do, plan and delegate. Delegate. And the fourth one is eliminate. Right? Remove it. This one is that delegate. Imam said in this one, وَجْعَلْ الْأَمُورَ الصِّغَارِ مَنْ يَجْمَعُهَا. وَاجْعَلَ الْأَمُورِ, delegate your umur, small things, to someone who can take care of it. وَيَعِرَّ مِنْهَا عَلَيْهِ, and he can share that with you. Amazing. I was looking at this. I just did, Stephen Covey did this. These are what? He probably did it. I don't know. Imam is explaining exactly how to do time management. And I saw that, you see, that's why I keep saying that first, I realized that people, they're more muttaqi, they're more exercising this. Let me tell you this story, and I'm going to finish after that. Imam Khomeini, when he was in exile in Paris, he was not famous at that time, right? How many people knew him? Only his Muqallideen, some of them, right? He was in Paris, exile. And he was running this movement to remove the Shah, right? Over there, one time, they arranged like this press conference for Imam Khomeini. You know, all the journalists and all these guys, famous guys, they're coming to go and have an interview from him. He's delivering interview. In the middle of the interview, he realized it's Azan. He said, guys, I'm sorry, I have to go and pray. He says, Imam, these guys came, like they are special people, we invited them, you're gonna remove all. He says, what did he say? First thing first. What's important for me?
Salam.
Qurbat of Allah. Allah is managing my life. Allah is managing my life. Allah is going to help me for this revolution. Allah is going to put the love of my love in their heart. Allah will turn everything. First thing first. Okay. You see how important this thing is? Put first thing first. Inshallah, I hope that we'll focus on proactivity and also begin with the end in mind, and then we'll execute these plans. So first thing first. Okay, great.